Looking back, May feels like it was a blur. I was quite busy in my personal life, so getting times to play video games was always a pleasure. Last month saw me cross another 6 games off the dreaded backlog, so let's find out what they are, starting with Crayon Shin Chan, Me and the Professor on summer vacation. I had been meaning to play this game for the longest time. I really had no excuse for not playing it either, as in total it is only a few hours in length. Now, I'm not the biggest Shin Chan fan, as well, he basically is a 5-year-old pervert. Also, the show leans into a category of absurd stories, things that are just so far from reality in a setting about mundane lives. Back to the game. In the game, you play as Shinosuke or Shin Chan, who is on a 7-day vacation in rural Japan with his family. Throughout these 7 days, weird things begin to happen, starting with meeting a professor who gives you a camera to document your trip, through to seeing dinosaurs in the village. This is not a spoiler either, as there is literally a dinosaur on the cover art for this game. The game plays, for the most part, like a slice of life game. Each day you have a set amount of things to do, like capture bugs, go fishing, gather plants, and complete tasks for the locals. You do have a stamina bar, but if it empties you just pass out and wake up a little later in the day. It isn't a big penalty, and you can replenish stamina anytime by eating food. Once it hits nighttime, you can do things like listen to a bedtime story or more exploring, bug catching and fishing. Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on summer vacation, the endless 7-day journey is a cozy game that was a pleasure to play through. The game is voiced in Japanese with English subtitles. It also has great sounds and music, so you do feel like you're really visiting this little town in Japan. Personally, I really enjoyed my time with this game. The only thing is that I wanted more. Luckily, there is another Shin-chan game released called Shiro of Coal Town, so I will have to get my hands on that to play next. The next game I decided to play in May was Rainbow Cotton. This game is a re-release of the Dreamcast version from 2000, which was Japan exclusive at the time. If you watch my channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of the Cotton games, so I was looking forward to finally playing this version. Most of the Rainbow Cotton games are side-scrolling shoot-em-ups that you have to play as Cotton, who is motivated by finding the biggest and best willow or candy. Rainbow Cotton deviates from this formula slightly and plays as an on-rails shooter with the camera placed behind Cotton herself. There are only 5 stages in the game, making it rather short. However, this is normal for this genre of gaming. Most shmups can be completed in an hour or 2. While playing through each stage, you can use a regular attack or a special attack, or get help from your fairy friends to defeat the enemies. When you defeat enemies, a gauge in the upper left corner of the screen will start to fill up. Once full, your attack level will go up. The gauge will also drain a small bit if you get hit. Rainbow Cotton has incredible animations, reminiscent of the 90s. There was a lot of effort put into telling the story through these animations. Unfortunately, the gameplay is a little bit of a mess. For starters, the auto shooting feels sluggish, so it is faster to actually press the button manually to shoot. This is frustrating and honestly makes the game feel a little button mashy. There are also no tutorials on how to play or what anything is in the game, so it is not beginner friendly if you are not familiar with this genre. The other big issue is the size of Cotton herself on screen. She takes up too much space, and this in turn makes accuracy of aiming more difficult, reducing the fun of the game. Negatives aside, I really liked the variety in the settings and the bosses. I thought it was fun seeing each stage. I just hoped for more quality of life improvements in this remake. It was such a shame coming from a series that I adore. I do hope they continue to make more Cotton games, though hopefully the next ones will be slightly better. After the disappointment of Rainbow Cotton, I decided to play a game I knew I would enjoy, which was Little Kitty, Big City. This game is adorable and so wholesome. Essentially, you play as a cat who fell from their home's window onto the streets and are now looking for your way back home. On the journey, you meet a cast of other animals who each bring uniqueness to the game. as well as a crow who helps guide you home if you help them collect shinies, with you needing 4 fish total to have enough stamina to make the climb back up to your home. Due to these objectives, the basic gameplay is a collectathon, collecting shinies, collecting fish, and collecting cute hats to wear. One thing I did think could be improved is the jumping mechanic. It was a little janky and often hard to judge distance. I fell a few more times than I would have liked, especially when the game has such a relaxed atmosphere. Making the jumping less harsh on the accuracy would have been a welcome addition. Little Kitty, Big City honestly felt full of personality, and I loved the fact that you were often just going around causing mischief half the time. It gave similar vibes to Untitled Goose Game in that respect. Little Kitty, Big City is a game that I can easily recommend to everyone. The last Assassin's Creed game I played and thoroughly enjoyed was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I enjoyed playing as Cassandra, and I wanted to dip my toes back into the Assassin's Creed games before Shadows drops later this year. So I put up a poll and asked which games I should play, with the winner being Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to vote in my polls each month. I had never played Black Flag previously. Whilst pirates are pretty cool, it isn't a setting I see and think, oh, I must play this game. Even the Pirates of the Caribbean movies to me are just okay. The first one was fun to watch, but I wasn't someone who desperately wanted more after the first movie. This game left me with the same feeling. It was fun enough, but it was not compelling enough for me to rave about it. That said, let's get into what I liked and then what I didn't like about the game. What I liked was the way the game looks. The game is over 10 years old and it still looks good on my PlayStation 5 even today. The combat and stealth segments also feel good. Sure, a little rough around the edges, but I enjoyed these parts of the game immensely. Now, onto what I dislike. Honestly, it came down to the main character. I didn't like him at all. I couldn't connect with his story, so having to play through this game from his perspective was tough. Despite the fact that I personally couldn't connect with the character, I will admit that the characters are well written and they feel really well developed in the game. Again, it may just come down to me not being a fan of the pirate setting, because my other dislike in this game is the ship combat. Honestly, I do get the appeal that this has, and yet I don't enjoy it myself. At least not in this game. The very first naval combat happens early in the game, and this taste was enough for me to realise it isn't the game for me. Even in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it was my least favourite part. I actively sighed in relief in that game when I could just fast travel and not have to sail to the next destination. So coming into Black Flag, I had the same reaction of, oh, I don't like this gameplay. I didn't want to go out on the high seas, and I was relieved anytime I made landfall and could go back to the parts of the game that I enjoyed more. If you were to ask me if this is the best pirate video game, I would have to say yes, and yet it was not the game for me. I completely understand why it is beloved and can respect anybody who has this as their favourite Assassin's Creed game. I think if I first played this 10 years ago, I may also have thought the same thing. But playing it for the first time in 2024, I can only say yes, I did enjoy it, but no, I did not love it. Still, I am glad I did get to play one of the most beloved games in the franchise. The next game I am crossing off my backlog is Endless Ocean Luminous. Now technically this is a game that can be endless, however I completed the main story, so I don't see myself playing this too often in the future unless I want to completely relax and zone out in a game. I did do a full review of Endless Ocean Luminous, so if you are interested in my thoughts on this game, go watch that video next. It will be linked in the description below. With Tango Gameworks being closed, I wanted to replay one of my favourite video games from last year, that being Hi-Fi Rush. Now originally I played this on PC, but this time round I played the PS5 version, and I will say having the DualSense controller while playing added another layer to the game. The haptic feedback was utilised so well and enhanced the experience. This game is so incredibly unique. It mixes a rhythm game with action combat with this comic art style. Until you play it, you don't really understand just how intricate the game mechanics actually are, with different timing and combos that can be used. But also, if you just want to hack and slash at enemies without worrying about the rhythm stuff, you can do that as well. The story is also fun and engaging. You uncover the dark secrets behind the large corporation and fight back. There is a raft of accessibility options in this game, which is awesome to see, from colorblind options to text size adjustments and even a streamer mode. I really appreciate when the teams incorporate things like this, as I believe everybody who wants to enjoy the game should be able to. Hi-Fi Rush is a fun game that I couldn't help smiling every time I played it. It has a joyous nature to it and quirky characters that all work seamlessly in the universe created. It really is a shame that the studio behind this won't be making a sequel. I personally would have been excited to see more. So those were the 6 games that I played through in May. Comment below what games you finished recently or even just been playing recently, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!